Hello students, Wendy Ansley here, kinesiology professor at College of the Desert. I look forward to sharing with you a well-rounded yoga flow today, which will hopefully leave you feeling great. The theme of our sequence today is cultivating satya. Satya, you spell S-A-T-Y-A, and it's one of the moral restraints of yoga. If you ever study the 8 limbs of yoga, you will come across some beautiful concepts. And satya represents true, the truth, true essence. And it also represents the commitment to truth. So it's just a beautiful understanding. And we want to know our own truth. That often is the feeling of being very genuine and very authentic. That is an example of satya and truth. Now, how do you cultivate and have integrity with your truth, right? This is our words, our actions, and our intentions. So how do those 3 things tie into truth? We often have to ask ourselves with our words, our actions, and our intentions, is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? So truth and kindness come into play. Now, how do we cultivate satya in yoga? So we often say on our mat, right? On the 4 corners of our mat. This is an example of reflecting within, nourishing our body, our mind, and spirit, finding our truth in our practice. What is the purpose of our practice? And sometimes we have to analyze, the purpose of our practice is sometimes to breathe and integrity in the postures, and sometimes know where we are in our postures, back out of the postures, have no judgment, don't be hard on yourself. That is an example of truth in our practice, in the stillness, cultivating our truth, knowing our truth. This is part of our superpower, as Wonder Woman would say, know your truth, live with integrity, live with purpose. And something else I want to share with you, that you might sometimes come across someone who treats you poorly, who lashes out on you. And you sometimes have to reanalyze, right? And say, know your truth and know your value, and try not to take that personally. That's part of living your life with truth and kindness, is to know your truth, know your value, and know that person, recognize that that person may be in pain. So as we begin our practice today, we're going to come into a wide-legged child's pose. Let's have the big toes touching. Let's widen the knees here. And let's rest the forehead onto the ground. The palms are spread out about shoulder distance apart. We're pressing into the palms. We're drawing length in the spine. And we're simply reflecting within. Cultivating truth. On the inhale, we lengthen the spine. We're going to stay here a few breaths longer. On the exhale, we press into the ground, drawing the hips towards the heels. Beautiful. coming to all fours, tabletop. We'll do a little dynamic warm up here. We're going to tuck the toes, hands under the shoulders, knees under those hips. Dynamic breath. Inhale, tailbone is out, look up, drop the chest. Exhale, press into the ground, round the upper back, belly button to the spine. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round the back. 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 Beautiful. Come into just a neutral tabletop. Nice. We're going to walk the hands forward a few inches. We're going to lead with those hips and come into a little dynamic down dog where we heel and toe, heel and toe. Beautiful. Into a static hold. This is where we press through those palms. We draw length in the spine here. We firm those thighs, and the feet are about hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider. If we need to bend our knees as we're warming up, that's okay, but we want to firm those thighs. Breathe into those hamstrings. Inhale, exhale through the nose, calm the mind. Walk the hands and the feet towards one another at the same time. Hands to the shins, the thighs, or possibly to the ground. Halfway lift, tailbone out and back. Exhale, come into a little forward fold here. Come more to the midfoot, draw length in those hamstrings. Gently bend the knees, open the chest, open the heart. Exhale, heart centered. Beautiful. Just checking my microphone here. As we face the front here, let's just take a moment and set our intention for our practice. Remember, part of cultivating truth is truth in your intentions. As we close our eyes, I want you to just take a moment and think again through your words, your actions, and your intentions. Is there truth? And is there kindness? Take a moment and just acknowledge your own inner truth. And throughout our postures, their efforts and breath, let's breathe into this truth. Let's cultivate it. Gently look up. So we often do work on this mat. We do work inside with the breath, the postures. We do that work and it transcends off the mat. Rooting through the four corners of the feet, Pada Bandha. Awaken those arches. Let's do 2 cleansing breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale, we're going to draw both arms up. Clasp around the left wrist, and I want you to shift now over to the right and open that left side of the body, but also draw that right hip forward just a bit. Inhale, rise. Clasp around the right wrist. I like to take my thumb and index together and inhale, lengthen, shift, exhale, shift over to the left, opening that right side body, lateral flexion of the spine, and also drawing that left hip forward just a bit. Inhale, rise. Exhale, Swan dive down into a forward fold. We're still awakened. If you want to do a heel and toe, we can. Come into inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, either hands on the shins, the thighs, or the ground. On the exhale, we're going to frame the feet. We're going to step back into a little core awakening, Phalakasana, active legs, heels over the balls of the feet. Dome the upper back just slightly. You draw the shoulder blades towards one another just a bit and connect as we draw the belly button to the spine. We'll stay here several breaths. Gently lower to the knees, onto the bellies. Extend those arms out to the side here, out to the sides. Draw that right ear to the ground and draw that left foot up and over and just kind of awakening the lower back. We'll stay here several breaths. Gently release, forehead to the ground. Left ear to the ground and draw that right foot up and over. Try to get the right foot close to the ground and just breathe into that release of the lower back. Gently release, forehead to the ground. Come to all fours. Lead with those hips. Come into down dog. Press through those palms. Draw length in the spine. Tailbone back and down. Pubis bone back and up. Walk the hands and the feet towards one another. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands to the shins, the thighs, or the ground. Exhale, come into forward fold. Take the tops of the hands to the ground. Rock them forward and back several times. Or side to side, I should say. Just kind of rock side to side. Beautiful with those hips. And we're just stretching the wrists here. Now the fingers come towards one another and we're just rocking side to side here. And fingers move away from one another and we're still rocking side to side. Gently bend the knees. Swan dive up. Open the chest. Open the heart. Exhale, heart centered. Beautiful. Taking the block. Some of you might need a block, and I'll demonstrate it. We're going to come into a wide-legged Malasana, child's pose. So our feet are a few inches wider than hip width apart. Toes pointing out, drawing those heels in. Inhale, draw length. Exhale, come into Malasana, and some of us may sit on the block. Elbows come inside the knees, and we draw length in the spine. We'll stay here several breaths. If you don't need the block, you may move it off to the side. Continue and draw length in the spine. Try not to round forward. Broaden the collarbone and the sternum. Gaze forward and just breathe into this magical pose as we open the hips and lengthen the spine. Knowing your truth. Truth can be a superpower for a genuine, authentic life. Honoring the postures. A little dynamic hamstring flexibility. Take those hands and wrap them kind of around those fingers, the front of the toes. And as the exhale, we're going to straighten those legs. Inhale, look up. Exhale, straighten the legs. Inhale, come back into Malasana here. Exhale, straighten those legs. Inhale, look up. One more time. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, look up. Hands back on the inside, drawing length in the spine. Framing the left foot, we're going to come into a diagonal expression here as we lower the right knee to the ground. Back foot's in plantar flexion. Maybe one or two dynamics here. We're going to keep the left hand on the hip and we're going to draw that right arm up, or we're going to take the left hand to the ground and just really release the psoas. We'll stay here several breaths. Placing the right hand on the hip, drawing that left arm up or the right hand onto the ground, and just drawing that right hip forward just a bit. Gently release. Hands come onto the ground here. Back leg is straight. Come back into Malasana here, drawing length in the spine. Framing the right foot. Take that left leg back. One or two dynamics. Right hand on the hip, draw that left arm up, or right hand to the ground, and just really breathe into this left hip. I almost like to rotate that left pinky in just a bit. Left hand on the hip, draw that right arm up or place the left hand onto the ground and kind of rotate that right pinky in. Breathe into that left hip. Gently release. Hands on the inside, back leg is straight. Come back into Malasana, and we're going to stay here several breaths. Inhale, we draw length in the spine. Exhale, we press into the ground. Beautiful. Inhale, roots and rise. Come back up into a standing position. Cleansing breath. We're back in Tadasana here. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. A little spinal twist. We'll take the right hand outside the left hip and we're going to just gaze over the left shoulder here. And we're going to continue to draw that right hip forward a bit. So just gaze over the left shoulder. Just getting all properly warmed up. Release, come back center. Take the left hand outside the right hip, right hand to the left hip, and gaze over the right shoulder. So you're releasing the upper and middle part of your back and continue to kind of draw that right hip forward a bit as we gaze over the right shoulder. Gently release. Inhale, arms up, energy out the fingertips. Exhale, swan dive down, come into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, the thighs, or to the ground. Frame the feet, step back into a plank. Engage the core here, the power of the plank, core awakening. Stay here several breaths. I love to sometimes just acknowledge the power of these simple postures. Gently lower, coming onto the knees and to the belly. Arms out to the sides. Take the left, let's take the left foot and bring it over as the right ear comes to the ground. Left foot towards the ground, releasing the lower back. Come forward. Lower the left ear to the ground and draw that right foot up and over. Gently release. Come forward, rest the forehead onto the ground. Hands by the sides as we shift it back. Lead with those hips. Come into beautiful down dog. This is sometimes where I widen my heels towards the edges of the mat here, to the sides and edges of the mat. And I want to feel those inner thighs spiral back as I draw length in the spine, but I continue to firm those thighs, but just feel those inner thighs spiral back. And breathe, inhale and exhale into any pain you may experience. Walk the hands and the feet towards one another. Inhale, halfway lift, hands shins of the thighs or to the ground. Exhale, come into our forward fold, come more to the midfoot. Breathe into the hamstrings and bring the sternum and chest close to the shins. Gently swan dive up and let's just open the chest, open the heart. Exhale, heart centered. Coming back up to the front edge of the mat. If you want to use the block, you know how to set it behind you a little bit. Feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart. Toes pointed out, heels rotated in. We're going to come into Malasana again. Inhale, draw those arms up. Purpose in your practice. Exhale, come into beautiful Malasana here. Spine is long, gaze forward, broaden the collarbones, and open those hips. Use the breath to cultivate satya, cultivate truth, integrity, kindness. Extending the left arm out, draw that right arm up, and then gaze up at the right hand. So we're adding length in the spine, but a little rotational as well. So we're opening the hips, lengthening the spine, dynamic mobility. Come back into Malasana. Extending the right arm out, drawing that left arm up. Come back into Malasana. Lengthen the spine. Framing the feet, the left foot here. We're going to take that right leg back at a diagonal here. Beautiful. Now we're going to come into a little shoulders, Garudasana arms. Right arm under the left. Palms together. Beautiful. And I like to keep my elbows in line with the shoulders, but draw my palms forward in eagle arms. And I feel my upper rhomboids spreading, stretching. Beautiful shoulder therapy. Stay here several breaths. Gently release. Hands come onto the inside. Back leg straight, runner's pose. Connect back into Malasana again, drawing length in the spine. Framing the right foot, left leg behind, come into a little diagonal low lunge. This time, left arm under the right arm, eagle arms. We try to draw those palms together. As we sink lower, breathe into those hips, elbows in line with the shoulders. Draw the palms forward. Feel the upper back, those rhomboids between the shoulder blades, begin to open and move forward. Release. Hands come on the inside here. Back leg is straight. Connect. Come back into Malasana here. Keep the spine long. Broaden the collarbones. Inhale and rise. Beautiful. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. Let's come to the center of the mat here as we continue to explore our inner truth, our authentic and true selves. Hands by the chest, elbows up. Add a little hop as we prepare for Prasarita Stance. Rotate those big toes in. Press outer edges of the feet. You almost feel the femur heads rotating internally just a bit. Draw those hands behind you. I want you to feel those shoulder blades touching here. This is healthy for the shoulders. Feel them touching. Scapular retraction. Inhale, we create length. Exhale, we come forward. Beautiful. Awaken the arches of the feet. Breathe into those hamstrings. Release. We're going to do this together. I'm going to mirror you here. You're going to turn your right foot, point at 90 degrees. You're going to continue to press outer edge of the back foot. And you're just going to rest those hands down. My elbow and shoulders inside the right knee here. And it's just a little low, almost extended angle prep pose here. Beautiful. We're going to stay here several breaths. Beautiful. We're going to walk those hands back center, adjust this right foot here. Now we're going to take that left foot, point at 90 degrees, walk those hands over, draw the elbow and shoulder kind of on the inside, and continue to press outer edge of this back foot. Beautiful. And breathe into these hips. Beautiful. And walk the hands back center. Press outer edges of those feet here. Good. Belly button to the spine. I want you to take the back flat. Inhale and rise. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. Turning this right foot, preparing for Virabhadrasana 2. Have the right knee go towards that pinky toe. Draw your shoulders down the back. Virabhadrasana 2, and begin to gaze over the right hand. Knee towards that pinky toe. Grow the pose to extended angle. Want to have space here. Elbow or shoulder on the inside. Top arm up. Eventually, many of us will simply stay here. Some of us may be able to take the elbow or shoulder inside the knee, externally rotate that top arm, rotate the pinky in, and grow the pose from the back foot through the hips, through the crown of the head. Continue to draw the bottom ribs forward, the top ribs back. Breathe into your truth. Inhale, rise. Take the right hand, turn it up. Inhale, come into revolved. Right here, a little reverse here, warrior. Beautiful. Opening that right side body. Gently release. Come back center. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. Adjusting your left foot here, Virabhadrasana 2. Knee towards that pinky toe. Gaze over the left hand and then press that back thigh back. Beautiful, warrior 2. Draw the elbow or shoulder inside the knee here. 6 o'clock arms. Have a little space here as we're in a form of extended angle. Some of us may grow the pose. Take that top arm, rotate it in, and grow the pose from the back foot through the hips, through the crown of the head. Now take those bottom ribs, rotate them forward and under, and top ribs back. Inhale and rise. Take that left hand, turn that palm up, open the side body. Use the bottom arm as a weight almost to continue to open the side body. Gently release. Come center. Heel toe it in. Beautiful. Let's do a little vinyasa between. Let's take out our blocks and take them to the ground here. The 2 blocks. If you have your 2 blocks, let's use them for a beautiful expression of down dog and up dog with the blocks. So the blocks are shoulder width apart, heels of the hand on the blocks. We're going to come up into Adho Mukha down dog. Head in line with the arms. Feet are hip width or wider. Tailbone back and down. Pubis bone back and up. Transition into plank. Beautiful. Some of you may lower the knees if you want to lower the knees for partial chaturanga. Otherwise, bring the sternum and chest forward. Notice my shoulders are in line with my elbows in chaturanga. And if I can, I'm going to press to the tops of the feet. Transition to beautiful Urdhva Mukha. Thighs off the ground, pressing through the tops of my feet. Inner spiraling the backs of the thighs, broadening the collarbones. Sacrum towards the knees. Gaze up. Beautiful, simple, profound back bend, arm strengthener. Exhale. Come into down dog. Beautiful. Walk the feet together. Walk the feet up, I should say. Let's keep the feet hip width apart on this. Hip width apart. And let's gently bend the right leg, press the right hand into the block, and draw that left arm up so we get a little spinal twist in Uttanasana. The shoulders are stacked over one another. Left hand towards the ceiling. A little spinal twist. Gently release. Left hand to the block. Let's bend the left leg this time and draw that right arm up. A little spinal twist in our forward fold. Gently release. Come into forward fold. If you want to sink a little bit farther, you can. Sternum and chest close to the shins. Come more to the midfoot. Gently bend the knees. Swan dive up. Let's open the chest. Open the heart. Exhale, heart centered. Beautiful. Removing the blocks, we're going to come towards the edge of the mat here, the back edge. We're going to add a little bit more of our well-rounded flow. Feet are hip width apart. Inhale, draw those arms up. I like to kind of draw my palms together here. And we're going to come into a little bit of a back bend. So we're going to open our chest, open our heart as we bring the hands and arms back. Inhale, rise. Exhale, we're going to swan dive down into a down dog. Beautiful. In our beautiful down dog. Inhale, we're going to draw that left leg to hip level. Rotate that left pinky in. Exhale, we're going to round the back as we draw the knee towards the chest, towards the nose, dome the upper back, place the left foot next to the left hand, come into a runner's pose. Back leg is straight. Come onto the fingertips here. Beautiful. Connect. Powerful, both legs. Firm the left hip, come onto the pinky toe of the back leg. Staying on the right hand, on the fingertips, I want you to simply draw this left arm up, but yet rotate this right hip inward, come onto the pinky toe, and stay here several breaths. Gently release, come back into runner's pose. Hands flat onto the ground, step back into plank, active core here. Engage the core. Gently lower onto the ground, belly to the ground. Hands by the sides here, an inch or two kind of below the bra strap here. We're going to come into oscillating cobra here, or a higher cobra. Feet are hip width apart. We're pressing through the tops of the feet. We're lifting the chest off the ground. Pressing into the ground, we're going to inhale, draw length. Pressing into the ground, inhale. Good. Into the ground, spinal extension. Good. We're pressing through the tops of the feet. Inhale, come higher. Pubis bone is to the ground. It's touching the ground. Pubis bone touching the ground. Knees off of the ground. We're pressing through the tops of the feet. Elbows close to the sides. Shoulders down the back ribs. It's spinal extension. Beautiful cobra. We'll stay here several breaths. Sacrum towards the knees. Inner spiral, the backs of the thighs. Beautiful. Gently release to all fours. There's so many powerful things about spinal extensions, such as cobra. It's so healthy for the back. Walk the hands forward a few inches, lead with those hips. Come into down dog. Inhale, we're going to draw that right leg up to hip level, one-legged down dog. Rotate that right pinky in. On the exhale, we're drawing the right knee to the chest, to the nose. Right foot next to the right hand. Come into beautiful runner's pose here. Good. We're going to come onto the fingertips of the left hand as we come into a reverse little runner's pose. Right hand comes to the ceiling. I want you to draw that left hip forward. Come onto the pinky toe of that back leg and come into a little thoracic upper back mobility as the fingers reach towards the ceiling. Gently release. Frame the foot in runner's pose. Hands to the ground. Step back into plank here. Engage the core here. Dome the upper back. Firm those thighs. Healthy core. In beautiful plank, gently lower the knees. There's a lot of core, there's a lot of mindfulness in yoga. Preparing for cobra, feet hip width apart, hands an inch or two below the bra strap. Press to the tops of the feet, hover the hands, and just feel the back muscles, the spinal erectors, pull the chest off the ground. Now press the palms into the ground. Inhale, rise. Inhale, rise, pubis bone to the ground, elbows close to the side. Inhale, rise, spinal extension, sacrum towards the knees, elbows close to the sides, gaze up. Gently release. Come onto the stomachs. Forehead onto the ground. Almost just tuck the chin in just slightly here. Stay here several breaths. Discovering our truth and purpose in our practice, we're going to come into a little half frog twist. I love this stretch here. Beautiful. So now I'm going to draw my left knee in line with my hip, and my left foot is in line with my knee. Beautiful. And we're just going to try to get the pelvis close to the ground. This is just a very simple hip opener. But we're going to add dimensions to it. So I'm going to push up on my left hand a little bit to help me thread my right arm underneath, and now I'm releasing my right shoulder here, and then I'm going to rest my head into the elbow here a bit, or into the hand. Again, trying to get the right shoulder to the ground. But now I'm going to add integrity to it. So I'm placing my right hand on the left knee and extending. So I'm adding the spinal twist now. The left arm out to the side here. And I'm gazing over my left shoulder. Cultivating satya, cultivating truth. Stay here 5 more breaths. Continue to gaze over that left shoulder. Connect to this posture, this half frog twist. Gently release. Come back center. Draw the right knee now in line with the hip, the foot under the right knee, pelvis towards the ground. I'm going to come up on my right hand a little bit, and I'm going to thread the left arm underneath and try to get the left shoulder towards the ground as I rest my head into either the elbow or the back of the hand, but just releasing this left shoulder. So it's a half hip opener, a little baby hip, and a little shoulder release. My favorite part, adding the spinal twist, placing the left hand on the right knee, and then drawing my right arm down and gaze over that right shoulder. Beautiful back stretch, whole body stretch. Inhale, draw length. Exhale, gaze over the back shoulder. Gently release. One last wide-legged child's pose. Big toes touching again. Widen those knees. Resting the forehead onto the ground. We're just going to kind of reflect within again. Press to those palms, draw length in the spine, shift those hips back close to those heels. Reflecting within, knowing your truth, knowing your value, knowing through your words, your actions, your intentions, is there truth? Is there kindness? Is there purpose in my life? And we're going to come into a prone Shavasana. You're going to come into the Shavasana. So this time we'll do it on our stomachs, unless you want to go onto your sides or your backs. But that's okay. And I'm just going to simply let you stay here as long as you want. You're just going to nestle yourself down there. Believing in your practice, believing in the fact that you are the light, that you have your truth. This is your superpower. I'm going to let you melt away, let everything go, and take as long as a Shavasana as you need.